Are you the type of person that think you have all the answers? Everyone seems to think you know everything. You say that you know everything, and it's hard for you to hear other points and other opinions, yet you still get the same results. Well, if so, this video will provide some insights, nuances, and suggestions that may get you to think differently about who you are and how you do things, and most importantly, how people see you.
Now it's time for Desktop Discussions.
Hey folks, Sir Charles Carey here. Welcome to another episode of Desktop Discussions. I've got a topic today that I think that's enlightening, and I think you'll get a lot out of it just if you lend yourself. So if you have any comments, any questions, please feel free to ask your questions, write them out, or just engage with me accordingly, because I'd love to get your insight. And today's topic, there's more to it. I thought about it for a reason, simply because sometimes we get in our own way and we don't want to, we don't realize we're doing it, but many times we do. Now, if you're young, you may say, yeah, my grandmother told me this or that, or my dad said that's this and that, and it's true. But at the same time, I think you can get something out of it too, because why go down a path that you don't have to go down if someone can help you with words of wisdom? And that's what I'm attempting to do today. Share words of wisdom that could maybe save you some heartache and open your mind a little bit. So, when I say there's more to it, the point is you can study all you want. You can be so well versed, well read, vocabulary, et cetera, but you don't know it all. There's more to it. And it even spills over into our practical life. You can have head knowledge, practical knowledge, understanding how to do a thing without a formal education, but there is more to it. I've been able to do things that I don't know how. I guess just because being intuitive and innovative, and I can hold a conversation with people who have degrees in certain areas. But you know what? I'd have to be very, very careful about going into their area of expertise without knowing my limitations. And you should always know your limitations. For instance, I think I know things about medicine, but I wouldn't volunteer to be a brain surgeon or a heart surgeon. It's crucial that you get the practical education and the hands-on training before you touch a real live patient. I may know that there's certain tendons or nerve endings that should not be touched, and things that could paralyze a person and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I can have the head knowledge, but I don't have the practical knowledge to say I know how to do it. I have a limited understanding on how it works. But many of us, we throw ourselves into things thinking that we know when we really don't know. We just have a practical understanding because of television or overhearing a conversation. And why don't we really know? Yeah, you got it. There's more to it. This episode is sponsored by our upcoming webinar, 5 Reasons Your Dreams Never See the Light of Day. It's a True Reality Enterprise Ventures, and we want you to get the information and the insight you really need. Look for the link in the description. Exactly. So I want to throw a couple of things at you to give you some insights on how you can look at things and really take advantage of them, and you be the benefactor of this information. I talk about a lot of stuff, and you can have the intuitive ability to know things, whether it's carpentry, electrical, maybe even some things dealing with the human body, but some things we simply just don't know. So here's something I want you to write down. Don't. Number one, don't be closed. If I had my fist as my brain or my mouth or my ears, nothing can get in. And that's how some of us think. We know what we know, and that's all we need to know. So nothing can get in, no other information, not having access to how to think, how to consider other things. You don't want to be closed. Don't be closed, number one. The second, don't be a know-it-all. No one likes a know-it-all. Even if you're right, I saw a movie the other day. Even if you're right, you don't have to always say it. And I'll be honest with you, folks. I have struggled with that because I'm a right fighter. I know that I'm a right fighter, but sometimes you have to keep your rightness to yourself for the sake of relationships, maybe for the sake of the environment that you're in. And I've had to change over the years. It's still hard because I like saying it right, getting it right, knowing what's right, and expressing it the right way. But don't be a know-it-all. And finally, don't be a person that no one can talk to or feel they can't talk to you because you're a know-it-all, right? So consider those things in your walk in life. And as you get older, you'll understand how and when to utilize each of those don'ts. Now, I want to give you some do's, right? Do be open-minded. Be open-minded, because if you're open-minded, again with the fist, if the hand is open, I can receive. I can receive money, right? I can receive tools, other resources, whatever they may be. So be open-minded. And be number two, be willing to consider other perspectives. Again, it's like almost the opposite of the other three, almost. But when you're willing to consider other perspectives, it gives you insight. You may know how to do it, but hearing another perspective, now you add on to different ways of getting the same job done. It's just like driving somewhere. You want to take the highway or you want to take the local streets. You still get to the destination, and yes, one may be shorter than the other, but you have options. So be willing to consider other perspectives. And then finally, be willing to grow. Number three, be willing to grow. Sometimes that's by doing, sometimes by hearing, by sharing, and be willing to grow. I mean, it says a lot about a person. I've done a lot of things in life. I've come a long way in life. I've done some fantastic things, and some things weren't so fantastic. But you know what? I'm still able to grow because I'm open-minded and I'm willing to grow. I'm willing to consider other perspectives in my personal relationship, professionally, socially, and recreationally. So you need to know that there's more to it in life, not just your way, not just the way you think. Just think about, driving, for example. Yeah, anyone can get in a car, turn the key, and press the gas or press the brake, but there's more to it, right? There's stop signs, there's different markers on the highway. They all mean different things. The car itself, the vehicle itself, right? That vehicle, depending on the horsepower, depends on how you have to drive the vehicle. There's more to it. And I share these things because I think it's important that we all understand, especially after having coming through, which is not over, but coming through this pandemic. We've been shut down. We've been forced to do this, that, and the third. You still have to be open-minded in order to grow. There's still more of you to go around. So any questions or comments, disagreements, or differences of opinion, I should say, maybe, please feel free to just share those things. I'd love to get your insight. I'd love to see what you think about this. With that being said, remember, you got to radiate the brain and change the game. Until next time. All right. Remember, this has been Desktop Discussions. Again,